Hello everybody and welcome to this week's bonus podcast where we will be celebrating the Bobbins Awards of 2022. I am Michael.
I'm Gemma.
How are you doing, Gemma? Are you excited for an evening of entertainment and criticism?
Oh, I love it.
Bobbins Awards, definitely the highlight of one of the many highlights of the Conversation Street year. This is the fifth, sixth year we've been doing them now. And Coronation Street are still talking to us, so can't be doing anything too badly.
Can't have offended anybody too important.
Gemma, for our new listeners and people who may be forgotten, what are the Bobbins Awards?
Bobbins Awards is where we celebrate the silliest things that happened in the last year.
Yeah, basically, that's it.
The most annoying people, the weirdest situations, stories that went nowhere, people that came back who shouldn't have bothered. Stuff like that.
We do really, really like Coronation Street, but it's sometimes not 100% perfect. And these awards are just here to recognise those moments. And
it's just to
give Coronation Street some pointers in the right direction. But
just poking a bit of fun. Yeah. It's all light-hearted. No malice in this at all. We're just having a laugh about something that we all really actually love. So
when I was putting together nominations and stuff for this, I was kind of realising that, and maybe I realise this every year and then forget, that it's not all criticism as well, because when I've said to people, when people have thought, the Bobbins Awards are coming out, when's the Bobbins? I've seen some people saying, Bobbins, I could go on forever, look at how bad 2022 and Coronation Street was. But some of the awards as well are criticising something that it should be criticised, that Coronation Street wants us to criticise. Like, we got our Dirty Dog Award.
Yeah.
Like, that's no criticism of the show, that's just saying which character really was the scummiest guy of the year. And that's what
and
Coronation
things like
Street wanted.
Grey Hoodie Award for naughtiest villain.
Gemma is wearing a grey hoodie right now. I just realised you put it up.
My hood up because I want to get the award this year.
But Gemma's got a fleecy hoodie on. I don't think it makes it look quite so intimidating.
I tell you what, this is the most comfortable thing.
Yeah.
You guys go to Next, if you're in the UK, get one of their fleecy hoodies.
Yeah, I can't keep my hands off her, honestly.
Well, you're doing a good job at the moment.
So soft.
Shall we do the first award?
Yes, so the first award of the evening is our Do One, New One award, which is where we take a look back at all the new characters on the street and say, which ones can just go away again, I suppose.
Which ones are we don't
less impressed by? And the way these, I suppose we didn't say earlier, the way these awards work, don't worry, you've not missed the call to vote. These are ones that are just decided by us on the evening, and we definitely always agree on it. We don't have any falling out or arguments or glarings at each other, do we?
Now, I'm going to say, I don't think there's any big standout,
no, I don't think so
annoying person who we wish would just go away or die.
When I think about the new characters in Coronation Street last year, on the one hand, I don't think there's any that's absolutely like, oh my gosh, they're my brand new favourite. I can't believe, I don't know what, Coronation Street was like before they ever came along. But equally, there aren't any where I was like, where did that character come from? Who thought that was a good idea? Because out of your main ones, you got Glenda, Dee Dee, Aaron, I suppose, and then you just got little smaller characters like your Lawrences, Damon, Darian, Teddy, and so on. And I don't know whether it's right to give it to one of the minor characters, because bless them, it's not their fault if they've not had many scenes to do.
Well, the thing is, you've just listed I think those three characters are all the ones you just said.
Aaron, Glenda, and Dee Dee.
I love Glenda. I really like Dee Dee. Aaron, maybe. Aaron might be a victim of circumstance.
Runner. Yeah.
I'm looking at the other ones that we've got, Esther and Mike. I kind of like them.
I kind of like them. And
really, John, I think.
John, not John State, the cardboard cutout we're talking about here.
John, Emma's lobotomised boyfriend.
I thought Curtis was Emma's lobotomised boyfriend. I think
she just likes him stupid, which is quite rich.
Happy. But, I didn't mind him. I feel bad giving it...
He's like a useless... The thing is, right... When you introduce a new character for a strong female lead, which most of the women on the street, except Anna, are pretty strong characters, you end up with a useless lunk.
I didn't mind John. I don't think he deserves to walk away with this one. I'm kind of going more towards Aaron. It shouldn't be Dee Dee. Absolutely no way should be Glenda.
No.
Aaron is just a bit of a kind of a wet blanket, isn't he? And he's let summer walk all over him.
We've got Damon and Eliza.
Damon's
you know,
alright.
Frank-
Eliza's cute. I'm
Frank
she's not
and
getting
Lawrence, Sean's boyfriends. I think Lawrence is a fairly strong contender.
it. Yeah, he is actually. I mean, Frank had a bit of spark to him, didn't he? When
Frank
he
was a bully, Michael. I don't know how you can stand behind that.
But I'm not too sold on Lawrence yet. But he's another one that's like, am I supposed to be sold on him? Is he going to be staying, or is he going to be having this one story? Lawrence, or is he having this one story with Sean and he's off? Then you got the likes of like Lucy and Bridget. I can never remember. Lucy's the bad mum, isn't she?
Lucy, Bridget,
Lucy's
and Eliza are just.
Yeah, but Eliza's nice. I like her.
I know,
She's
but
very
they're
musical
all
and smart.
fairly forgettable unit of characters to facilitate Stu's storyline.
Gabrielle, what about her?
I like her, but I think she's going to die.
Yeah, I think that she's got a target on her, and Fern as well. I quite enjoy.
Go on, who are you thinking?
I kind of am going Aaron, and I'm really sorry, James Craven. It's more that you're a main character, and you're still not really getting my juices flowing.
Does he have a personality beyond? Oh, the thing
he's just there to be he's there as an accessory to Summer's story, and they've put him in the garage, and it's like I don't buy that you're a mechanic because you're just too
useless. In defence of him, I want to say that when he's not around Summer, he actually opens up and he seems really nice, and
he is a nice guy.
He's got a totally different personality when Summer's around. So in a way, do I want to say do one new one Aaron, because I feel like we want to get rid of the old Aaron and get a new Aaron who, when Summer dies, hopefully.
So cruel. I want to redeem Summer. I used to love Summer.
I want Aaron to just give her a shake and say, let's just stop being useless.
He has stood up to her a few times, hasn't he? But it sometimes takes a little while.
I'm going to give it to... I think Aaron should get this.
I'm not going to say no to Aaron.
I don't want Aaron to feel bad as a fictional character, because I do think there's a potential.
Yeah, there is. And like I said, this is not against James Craven. And he seems like a really nice guy. Yeah. And lots of people have said he is the really nicest of guys. But the story that he's found himself in, just the fact that Summer's kind of dictating, what's happening with their baby or whatever. And he needs to stand up to her more.
Can I just say...
There's potential in him, but I'm not seeing it yet.
Summer and Aaron's love story feels like it was written by somebody who just hates Twilight on principle and hates all kind of young adult books about like a boring girl and a boring boy getting together, and by the end of the novel, it feels like it was written by somebody that hates teen romance.
I mean, yeah, I wish I looked like Cedric Diggory, but I don't.
No, so you can do one.
Aaron can do one, but you can change. He can change. Okay,
but
do a new one. Aaron, we in agreement?
Yeah.
Aaron Sandberg, there we go. Right, next up, Gemma, as you mentioned before, the Grey Hoodie Award. So this is named after, I can't even remember what it came from. Was it a load of dodgy lads? Yeah, that Simon was hanging about with years ago that all had grey hoodies together, and that was like the uniform of the chavs of Coronation Street.
This is the low stakes villain of the year. This is the one
most pathetic villain.
Who supposed to be scary, but we just think is a loser, and we feel like we could take them on, even though in reality we wouldn't be able to.
Oh, probably not. No. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking that does Max get included in this as a nomination, because he has been a bit of a bad lad this year, and he has worn a grey hoodie.
Yeah,
he's got the uniform already for this. I think because he's meant to be nice, but he's just a bit misguided, and he has had a bit of a redemption arc. Makes you think maybe he's not really deserved to be in here.
He's a modern grey hoodie because he's using the power of the internet.
I don't think that when he is being bad that he's necessarily effective at it. I mean, he screwed up.
He got someone killed.
Who?
Max and the gang.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking about, like, when he tried to trying to drug Daniel at the beginning of the year or something and accidentally made Amy overdose.
I'm sorry, but you feel like, to me, you're giving me more compelling reasons. When you started talking, I was thinking it's not Max, but now the more you've said, the more ineffectual things he's actually tried to pull off throughout the year is making me think.
I think, to me, a grey hoodie is probably supposed to be threatening, but isn't very good at it. I mean, I think a lot of people would be putting their cross in Stephen Reed's box for this at the moment. I'm quite enjoying Stephen Reed as a baddie, but I know that there's been a lot of people saying he's, put him up against the likes of Phelan and Hillman. There's a big, who can stand up against them. But even like John Stape, and he's just coming up as being a little bit pathetic, a bit skulky, and he looks like guilty as sin all the time. Nobody's noticing, and he's just panicking around, loitering around by the bins, sleeping in his car, and he's not. I suppose maybe is he supposed to be villainous, or at the moment, at the time of recording, is he just a nice guy that something kind of unfortunate has happened to? Oh no, I suppose he's ripping off his family, isn't he, as well? He's not just the murderer of Leo.
He's achieved a lot, though. He's the only one who's really killed somebody out of this list.
The only one that's really done it, yeah.
Well, who's killed anyone else?
Who knows, yeah. No, you're right,
know.
so he... Yeah, no,
Nobody.
I don't. Harvey. Who knows? Maybe not. I don't think anyone else on this list is a murderer. That's a good point. So the fact that as pathetic as Stephen is, he's one of the most high stakes villains on here.
And I'm going to give Leo a bit of credit, which we haven't really done before on this show. But he's a fairly high level adversary, isn't he? I mean, it was an accident. He took him by surprise. But if you said to me, right, kill Leo, I'd have a tough time.
Well, he was a roughy tufty rugby player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I could bump off, a lady maybe, but a big burly man.
I think that Stephen, for both of us, has been too entertaining.
No, I love him
but
too
I
much.
Definitely recognise that he is a little bit pathetic and snivelling as well. I'm kind of thinking about low stakes. I think that Dave in Griff's gang is definitely up there because he's this massive, unit of a man, isn't he? We've seen the actor that plays him, who's kind of jacked up to high heaven, and twice I can think of he's been, he's run away. No, that was the first time. It was outside the racist concert with sinister lyrics. Peter ends up pushing him over, doesn't he? Do you remember? Peter, this 60-plus-year-old alky, is able to floor this big hulk of a guy,
man.
And then just recently, after they donk Spider on the head, and Dave's there going, oh, what do we do now? Peter shows up again and he turns his tail and flees. So, as somebody who's supposed to be this, big, I guess, bodyguard, if you like, of this gang of racists, he's a bit pathetic. But I kind of like him for it. What do you think about him?
I'm looking at a picture of him now. I'm trying to picture all the gang in my mind. You've got Griff, who is the main guy with the beard. You've got Max, who's, their little minion.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Reese.
Dave's the muscle.
Reese is the one who's Lauren's dad.
Yeah, he was like Griff's number
He's like
2,
a
wasn't he?
middle-aged kind of... Has he got a ponytail?
He's got long, kind of straggly hair. Yeah.
And he was the one that was trying to rescue her from the...
Yeah.
He's actually a bit brave then. He was going to rescue his daughter.
Yeah. Reese isn't
Dave,
in the running.
I'm looking at
for me
Dave.
here.
Now, David's got baby blue eyes. He's got a bit of a cute face, I would say. I don't think he wants to get that damaged. So that might be part of his problem. He's worried about the face.
There is also Ollie in the gang, and he's, I'm sorry to say, the forgettable one of them all.
I'm just trying to look
I don't think I can give Ollie the Grey Hoodie Award, only because I wouldn't know who to hand this award to that doesn't
It's very
actually
difficult
exist.
to find a lot of these characters because Dave, if you search for Dave Coronation Street, it comes up with David, and if you search for Ollie Coronation Street, it comes up with
Dead
Oliver.
child.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't know who...
refreshing your well, exactly. We can't give it to Ollie because, to be honest, nobody really knows who he is. Sorry.
Griff's gang.
But yeah, out of Griff's gang, Dave for me would be the one that's the front runner there. Other contenders though, I'm thinking like.
Oh, is Ollie the young one with the hair?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. We found a picture of him. He doesn't have enough of a personality to get this, unfortunately. Esther and Mike, are they grey hoodie-ish?
No, they're too middle class. They've got live, laugh, love in their kitchen.
Okay.
Immediately disqualified.
They've probably got a grey tiled bathroom as well, haven't they?
Oh, gosh, can you imagine?
Councillor Cameron?
No, again, too middle class.
Yeah, but... yeah, I suppose so. He's...
Stephen's pretty middle class.
Yeah, I don't think that discounts
Grey Hoodie
you.
to me, no, Grey Hoodie is got a level of hooliganism involved.
You got, I mean, somebody who loiters around outside Victoria Gardens.
You've got to be hardy against the cold. And I don't think Council Cameron is.
Okay, so like Fern is also not eligible then in your eyes. Okay. Harvey,
posh.
he kind of he was taken down by Sam in a battle of words across the prison table, wasn't he? A couple of times this year.
Touchy.
Sam's like, remember your mum? And so, which just reduces Harvey to tears, and then he goes and has a hissy fit in his cell.
Hasn't done enough. Kidnapper Kieran.
Yeah,
Who's that?
You know, who kidnapped Kelly, locked her in a cellar, and then tried to off Gary and Kelly on the rooftop.
They had the volume wall. You know,
I don't remember enough about him. I don't think he was that great, and Gary was able to overpower him at the end.
I want to give it to Dave.
Yeah,
to me, he fits all the criteria. I don't think I could fight him.
I think I could.
Do you? I think you're delusional.
If Peter can take him down, even a little weed like me. I don't want the actor to come and find me and test out that theory. I think he is probably a real tough guy.
I think he's a roughy tufty. I think he's
just too lovely.
I think Dave, I could make him cry.
As the person that seems to me to be part of Griff's group for the muscle.
Yeah.
We've seen that he's not very good at that job.
He hasn't even punched anybody, has he?
I don't think he has. I mean, I think if he punched somebody, his fist would go right through their face. So it's probably a good job. Maybe not pre-Watershed material. But...
if it had been Griff and Alia, I mean, Griff and Alia in the garden, and she whacked him in the face. If that had been Dave, he would have flattened her, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Probably. Okay.
But he's not using his powers properly.
He's not. Okay, so... And I'm not completely convinced about his, the seriousness or the of his views
dedication.
On his dedication to the cause.
I think he just likes hanging out with other lads.
So
I don't think honestly, bless him, I don't think he's clever enough to know what they're doing.
Okay, so Grey Hoodie Awards, congratulations. I have to get an extra large size. Goes to get a Dave. I forgot his name. Dave this year.
Also, can I just say how much I love the name Dave? It's just a real strong name, isn't it? Dave.
Yeah.
Right, next up we have the award for Mardy Mayor. Now, this is for the stroppiest strumpet on the street.
Oh, nice bit of alliteration.
Thank you. For the one who's been the most put out all year.
See, I'm thinking as the years go on, this is a harder award to nominate because back in the days when we had Anna Windass and Michelle Connor, there were like two shoo-ins for nominees already there.
I mean, a shrewish shoo-in.
A shrew-in.
Yeah, but we don't really have anybody like that anymore.
Not really anymore. I mean, the closest we've got, I would say, is Leanne.
Leanne and Toya used to be fairly reliable for being Mardy to people back when they were younger, but they softened too much.
I mean, Leanne has certainly given the old Paddington Bear stares a few times, but I'm thinking back to 2022 particularly, and I don't think that side of her has come out too much. She had the falling out with Toya about when she married Imran and everything, and she's a bit snitty and opinionated and judgmental about certain things. She's kind of been giving Nick a hard time over the money and everything, I think, but I think for 2022 Leanne has on the whole been fairly pleasant, and I do like the character.
Are we saying we want more Mardy Mayors?
I think we need a Mardy Mayor to come into the street. We need somebody to sort those guys out. Evelyn's but I think that's written it. I think for a Mardy Mayor, it needs to be someone who kind of unintentionally winds up the viewers as well. That's what I'm thinking about for Anna and Michelle. We're kind of supposed to like them, but actually we don't always. But I mean, maybe sometimes we do. I mean, Sally, one might argue, has been somewhat Mardy this year in her constant demands to get Tim up them stairs. But I don't know whether it really fits with her. Means. No, I know.
Can I tell you who I think are the two Mardiest?
Go on.
It's Sarah and Maria.
Sarah Habib. No, it's not Sarah Habib.
Not Sarah Habib.
Okay, Sarah Louise Platt.
Yeah, Sarah Louise Platt.
Is she still Platt? I lost count. No, she's Barlow now, isn't she?
Sarah Louise Barlow, who she got herself in trouble. Well, she was annoyed with Adam and Lydia because of them.
She was fairly
But
mardy
also,
at the
can I
beginning
just
of the
point
year.
out, she just got herself fired from the factory for pointing her finger
she did, didn't she?
Carla's face. And then she had to go at her uncle for not giving her free money.
Yeah, but I think that was that in 2023? I don't know whether we can count that as evidence towards 2022 mardiness.
Well, then I'm going to present Maria, who's been whining on about the environment and refugees. Two really, really important things that I think I would say most of us kind of agree with her on. You know, there are definitely different opinions about both of those subjects that we won't get into because it's too political. But on the whole, I would say, especially Coronation Street, it feels as though Coronation Street expects you to be on the same page as Maria for saving the environment and just being nice to people. But somehow, everybody is sick of talking about it, and she's probably the worst PR disaster for both the environment and refugees there's ever been. Because you kind of start to get the feeling that maybe you kind of wish that the environment would just... Well, the planet would just burn.
The icebergs would all fall into the sea.
Shut Maria up.
Yeah, it's just the way that she goes about it, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but is it the tone?
It's
is
a
it
strong woman, Michael.
It's
very intimidating. It's very sexist to say that she's a Mardy Mare because she's being forthright and opinionated.
It's really, really bad, isn't it?
It's difficult because the thing is, there are very strong women on the street who I think wouldn't get you back up as much as Maria does, and I don't know what it is about. Why is it?
I don't know what
it's
it is about
definitely
Maria.
internalised misogyny here in this.
Because Spider goes on about the
category.
environment, but he does it in a way that I'm like, yeah, go Spider.
But he's also not really doing anything, is he? Whereas she's actually trying to achieve
No,
change.
he's not at the moment. But back when he was 20 years ago, I was like, yeah, I'll join you up that tree. But now, like, sometimes when Maria is going on about it, I'm like, oh, bring out the chainsaw.
It definitely is. Definitely is the sex. But we said before, we do have these are sexist categories. Mardy Mare and the Dirty Dog both very sexist.
They are, yeah.
But at the end of the day, these aren't real people. These are written characters, and the fact that they're fictional means that they will be imbued with a sort of certain amount of stereotypical behaviour, because it's a shorthand, isn't it? It's how you tell stories.
The thing with Maria is that there have been many times in the past 20 odd years where she's been a nothing character. She's been very much in the background, and she's just been kind of dull thanks to the fact that she's not given anything to do. And this year they have given her stuff to do, and she's got a bit of fire in her belly, and that's what you want, really, isn't it? You want, Coronation Street is you know, it is all about the strong, opinionated, I'm gonna have it out with you in the street women. But I don't know, I wouldn't ever put the likes of Elsie Tanner or Enid Sharples as a Mardy Mare.
I would.
Would you?
Yeah.
See, I don't know whether I would. I think there's just got to be an element of, just shut up, that goes with the not Mardy Mare.
That's sexist.
I mean, what about, Alia as well? Possible.
Oh God, yeah, put her in here.
Again,
fighting against something which I definitely agree with her on.
She was
fighting against racism and trying to stand up to Griff, and she melded him in the face.
And she was very she wanted to get justice for Stu, didn't she?
Yeah, so annoying.
Looking through those boxes of paperwork, and she wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
So maybe I'm thinking it's a toss-up between
Maria
Alia
and
Maria. I don't know. Who do you think? I mean, we haven't given much of a case for Alia.
I think you don't need to. I think it goes without saying, doesn't it? It's annoying.
Well, I when the van blew up, I did give a bit of a cheer. I'm not going to deny that.
And when Toya and Spider were talking and saying nobody got hurt, that made me laugh as well.
Yeah, it did.
So
it
bitchy.
did. I think I like the character of Maria more than I like the character of Alia. And again, nothing to do with the actors. Samia Longchambon is lovely. We had a nice little conversation with her
really
back
funny
in August.
really
She's
nice.
brilliant. But she also said to me, I hear that Maria's not your favourite character. I hope this will tell you.
I wonder how that come up in conversation.
I don't know.
They go, don't talk to them. They're horrible. They hate you.
And it did. Having seen Samia, doing her craft, but it has given me a certain level of sympathy towards her. But there is
So what
really
we're saying,
someone.
Sarah Khan needs to suck up to us, otherwise we're going to just keep voting
I don't
Mardy
think Sarah Khan. Oh gosh, I
Well,
can't
see, the thing
decide.
is, she impressed. We never watched it, but she was on I'm a Celebrity, wasn't she? And everyone said she was great.
Yeah,
Really
that's
personable
true.
and lovely. The most of
I think
the
she
actors
is. I've heard
are
lots of great
really
stuff
lovely.
about
It
Sarah.
doesn't make any difference
No.
to what we think of. Yeah, I might give it to Alia because I tell you one thing. Is at least she has a presence, you know. She's got a bit of oomph to her.
Yeah.
And I, you know, sometimes it reminds me of when you scratch an itch, you know, that satisfying feeling of like being irritated and like, you know, or poking a sore tooth or something. Sometimes you need somebody to come in and just be a Mardy Mare.
Okay, so are we going for... I'm happy to go with Alia if you
I think
are.
Alia.
Okay, Mardy Mare, 2022, Alia
She's not even on the
Nazir.
shortlist, but she's won
I know,
it.
I forgot to write on the short. That's a last minute entry.
Good for
there.
you, Alia.
Okay, Dirty Dog
At least
Award
you're doing
next.
something.
Dirty Dog,
Yeah.
famously won by Imran last year, and our only Bobbins Award winner to have a certificate presented to the actor for the achievement. But has Imran retained...
Don't tell everyone. They'll all want one.
Has Imran retained the crown for 2 years in a row? I'm thinking back to 2022 and thinking there wasn't that much dirty doggedness in the year. We didn't really have the affair storylines. We didn't have people cheating on each other and all that.
Do you think it's because Coronation Street listened to us complaining about how we hate affair storylines?
I don't mind.
They've got a
affair
point, you know?
storylines can be good. I mean,
I completely disagree because the reason I don't like affair storylines is because they always get given to couples where they really have no clue about what story to give them.
when we almost had an affair story between Tim and Aggie, didn't we? Can you be a dirty dog for having an emotional affair with someone? I don't know whether that really counts. I think he's too nice to be able to give that to. I think Imran is, to be honest, a strong contender because, especially throughout the beginning of 2022, he was hiding from Toya that one night stand was from Abby. She knew back from, October, November time in 21 that he'd had a one night stand, but he continued the lie that it was with some rando that he'd met in a bar, and it was only sort of springtime when she discovered it was Abby and Alfie was Imran's son. And then he went and lied in court. Now, lying in court, I would say, doesn't count as evidence towards dirty dog. It's got to have something to do with the old hanky-panky in the bedroom stuff, doesn't it? But
I don't think we can give it to Imran 2 years in a row for the same affair.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I want to give it to Ken because
I
really love the fact that he was going for two women at once.
I think Ken's a strong contender. Let's just look at the other ones before we circle back to Ken. So I was thinking of Adam.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't particularly dirty doggish, but last year at the beginning of the year we did hear an awful lot about his past misdemeanours and how he was sleeping his way through college and he ended up after and after the whole affair, the story with Lydia ended, I think didn't he go off to try and apologise to some of his old flames or conquests or whatever. So but he didn't do anything particularly dirty last year. And then you got Daniel. Who was he going out with? No, he was going out with Lydia for a bit at the beginning of the year, and then he kissed Daisy. But then I think he dumped Lydia straight afterwards. So yeah, I think it's got to be Ken, hasn't it?
I want to give it to Ken because I say there's life in the dirty old dog yet.
There really, really is. I mean, fair play to him.
Yeah, round of applause.
2022, 62 years after first joining the show,
he's still trying to get his leg over.
He is. Yeah.
And there's poor Deirdre in the background, her little photo, smiling away.
Yeah, little does she know what's going on down here in Weatherfield. Yeah, because Ken's... I mean, he started developing those feelings for Wendy, and, nothing wrong with that and everything. Some people will say, no, he would never lower himself to going back to Wendy again. How dare he besmirch Deirdre's memory? I think it was quite sweet, and Wendy seemed to be just kind of a nice old woman by this time. But yeah, then when Martha came back, those episodes when she appears on the scene, William Roach's acting was just fantastic. He was really leaning into the hubba, awooga, and this guy is 90, and he was the looks that he gave, and
Yeah, I love it.
And then doesn't the character, or is it Ken, doesn't tell Wendy that he's meeting up with Martha, and then she publicly shames him in front of a crowd in the play. I mean, that's not what happens to a dirty dog.
Yeah, that's the prototype of a dirty dog's tale, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The only other one that I thought of possibly could be Mike, but I don't think we knew in 2022 that he'd had just how dirty he was. I think when he was chatting up Leanne in the bar, that might have been this year still. So, and in any case, he can't stand up to Ken, can he? So, Dirty Dog 2022, the oldest character on the street, Ken Barlow.
Yay!
He's still got it.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. So this is the Give Over Award, where we kind of look at something that happened on the street and go, Did that make sense? Really happen? That's a real stretch. I have to suspend my disbelief a little bit too much here, and I get in soaps things like that have to happen in order to facilitate the stories and to make cliffhangers and everything.
A lot of stupid stuff happened this year. Which is great.
I mean, I've got a massive long list here. We probably won't talk about them all, but is there anything particularly that stands out to you to go, no way would that happen? What ridiculous.
What a ridiculous... Oh, wow, I mean, Emma's E-fit was really silly.
Emma's E-fit, because there's a story behind that as well, isn't there? So when it was... Who was it that made the E-fit? Was it Craig? I can't remember. Because he... No, it was
the neighbour from
the neighbour, Ted's neighbour,
yeah.
Towards the beginning of the year, saw Emma in a cap and everything, and then he does his E-fit to the police, and then what we see on screen is this rubbishy pencil drawing. It doesn't look anything like Emma.
I don't know what happened. Something happened there.
But what happened, and this is public knowledge, is that they had another version of that E-fit with a very, very dark-skinned drawing of Emma, and it looked massily dodgy.
It looked like the sort of thing Griff would come up with.
It really, really did. They showed it on this morning. I think Phil and Fern were talking about it, and then in any case, it's not
change it because it looked dreadful.
Yeah, but it's not so much that side of it that's a give over. It's to me the fact that somebody looked at it and goes, "Oh yes, that's Emma."
Yeah, it feels like behind the scenes somebody got told to do it. He didn't have enough time or enough.
Yeah, how do I do this without...
I don't know. Didn't work out. Incredibly dodgy.
Okay,
another one I'm going to say is Spider being donked on the head. And doing
no, that was this year, I'm afraid. Didn't count as 2023. Yeah,
I've got no idea.
That's in the running for next year, Joey. Okay. Yeah. I want to put in the ring Eileen having her near-death experience and believing that she had nearly gone to heaven and then becoming all nice and smiley and I'm not going to knock the storyline in an entertaining sense. I thought that was quite fun. It was nice seeing a different version of Eileen. Sue Cleaver did a great job. But everything involved around it, falling over, the pumpkins splayed all over the street. And then they had, Sally's music is playing on her phone. And that makes her think that it's the ethereal choirs of paradise.
What was she smelling?
Was it
a cream horn or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it was. It was some kind of pastry treat. It was a silly storyline.
And it raises the horrific philosophical question of is Eileen actually just terrified of death continuously, and that's why she's so grumpy? And is that kind of existential dread actually incredibly dark? When you really think about it. And does it make her grumpy, hilarious nature actually incredibly tragic and sad? Don't know.
I just put that kind of, personality change up there with, I've been bopped on the head and now I've got amnesia and I don't remember anything that happened, and isn't that all convenient? It's just like, it feels like something that happens in fiction and not really in real life.
There's a lot of things like that. Happened this year.
Anything else? I mean, there's tons. Anything else?
The amount of people that have been in and out of hospital and had quite serious issues.
Short hospital stays.
Yeah.
Again, some of those have been this year. Yeah. So maybe that's a contender for next year. I'm kind of putting up there. There's just some little things like. Stephen working out Leo's phone password because he said, am I remembering this right when he says to Janet, when any important dates? Oh yeah, his mum's birthday.
And it wasn't Jenny, it was Daisy.
Yeah, it was Daisy.
Daisy
wasn't
knew
it?
her stepmother's boyfriend's mum's birthday.
And it just so happens to be Leo's PIN code. I don't really buy that. And things like when we had the seance, which was fun, but Sam not realising what a cassette tape was, or saying, oh, back in the olden days, people had physical media to stream their music through it. And I didn't buy that but that's small potatoes compared to, I don't know, compared to some of the other things on there.
I didn't like the fact that Toya murdered Imran and it went nowhere.
I think Toya's murder of Imran may be picking up a few awards tonight, but yeah.
I'm just going to pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, I think that...
I prefer to believe it was all a lie.
The fact that she kind of has now admitted that she knew what she was doing and she kind of lost it, but she drove into the wall.
I'll do it again, see? I don't care.
I think that's silly plotting, but I don't know whether that's a give over in that wouldn't happen, which is why I'm kind of thinking this award should be.
It wouldn't happen. Yeah, I mean, for example, when Craig was getting obsessed with this case of the granddad dying
crutch.
And the crutches and investigating down the precinct, going down the Gregory Pope shop.
Yeah.
And he said he went down the precinct to look at all the charity shops. Craig, there's one.
And he also, didn't he get his forensic mates at the police station to investigate this crutch because he was just so...
Interested
and he had nothing else going on.
Yeah, that to me was... That was silly.
Yeah, that was silly, and I don't think that he would get that involved in it. I'm going to say... what else? Kathy and Brian split. That was a bit of a give over. I wouldn't believe that the two of them would break up. You know, the way it happened with... First, she ends up kissing that Jim Fizz mixologist. I didn't really buy that she would actually do that. And then when it all comes out, they just break up over, there's like 5 minutes and they're over. I didn't buy that would happen that way. I think Spider being an undercover police officer should maybe be in the running for this one. The fact that he just is one. Not how good he is, the fact that he just is one.
The fact he is one, and the reasons... I don't know, the reasons that he is one don't make sense, but that's not part of the point of this category.
No, they explained it kind of well enough for me, I think, but having him coming back as an undercover police officer, I thought it was quite exciting, but if I give it any kind of serious thought, it's niggling in the back of my head like, I don't think he'd be a great one. Kirk being made extra office administrator. Do you remember that weird storyline?
Because he was helping with their morale.
Well, I think there was a bit where he was like really good with somebody on the phone, and then Beth says, "Oh, you should give him an office job," and Carla's like, "Okay." And I know she only did it and she didn't intend to keep him on, but then like, why would she go along with this farce of having, Mr. Dimwit put on a suit and tie and answer the phones? I think Carla seriously would be like, no, get back to your boxes.
They've kind of thrown Carla under the bus this year with how good she's supposed to be at her job. She always was a very determined and clever and shrewd businesswoman, but over the past year she's just turned into an idiot because she can't do anything without Jacob. Well, she made Kirk into this office administrator person.
Wait until the character assassination category before we get more into Carla. I'm sure there'll be opportunity there. What
about the fact that Elaine was just walking around in Bolton when suddenly she sees Stephen getting molested by a moped?
We have these coincidences where someone happens to be walking by Victoria Gardens where there's some shady dealings, but at least it's in the local geography, the vicinity. But yeah, having Elaine, I know she lived in Bolton, but yeah, I didn't really buy that. The scaffolding, is that a give over? The fact that it's still up after 6 months and nothing's happening with it, that's just a bit silly and annoying rather than give over-ish. Max's videos, the fact that, and this is a continual problem I suppose, that everything that anyone ever makes content-wise on Coronation Street goes viral, and maybe that's just me being a little bit jealous of them. But the fact that everybody looks at Max's videos and goes, wow, that's amazing. Like, do you remember he made that factory video for the website?
And it was like it's the opening to a sitcom about the factory.
It was a proper low quality.
It reminded me of how in the old days when you had like GeoCities and you'd launch somebody's personal website and then play music.
Yeah, a little MIDI file.
Yeah, and it's like you got to have your music and you got to have your guest book and you got to have your counter for how many people have been to your website. It just came across as being
mega amateur, and I know that he is amateur and everything. Yeah. But at the other hand, everyone's saying he's the latest protege in AV.
But my point is, it felt like a very old-fashioned approach to creating a website that I don't think a kid nowadays would fall into that trap.
Kids don't even go on websites these days anyway, do they? It's all about social media. Bistro robbery. I remember at the time when that went on, as well as the general silliness of it, there was a lot of complaints about when Ryan went through the safe and he ends up taking thousands of pounds or whatever out of it, and people were saying, why is there thousands of pounds worth of cash in Debbie's safe in the bistro? Isn't everything done in card payment these days? That was a bit of a big thing. There's an awful lot that it could be. I don't know whether anything stands out.
Nothing
more
really
than others.
Massively stands out to me, unfortunately.
I mean, the one you went with first with Emma's EFIT I would say is quite a strong contender. But maybe I'm just kind of getting it mixed up with the whole controversy behind the having to redo the EFITs quickly between publicity photos and the show.
Can I say broadcast. What I think? I think it's Craig's obsession with the mystery of the crutch, because that was extended, and this category is supposed to be for storylines where it's so obviously fictional, it would never happen in real life. And to me, the idea that a policeman would spend so long investigating something that then eventually his girlfriend turns out to have been the murderer.
He was,
and then at the end of it, they didn't even care anyway. Like, John was like, oh yeah, wow, Grandad was old.
In part of the storyline as well, do you remember it was a bit Rear Window-ish, where he looks out of the window and he sees, like, was it Mary or someone having a sword fight out in the street, and he goes, I need to go down and stop this, and he's like, oh, we're just rehearsing for a play.
Yeah, honestly, the first it's all embroiled with Emma's exit storyline, and I think that deserves
I'm going to say that,
over.
Eileen's near-death experience is up there in that it was literally a whole personality change. It feels like something that goes on in fantasy fiction rather than soap, which is supposed to have some grounding in reality.
It felt like an episode of Round the Twist.
So, are those ones we got a battle between?
I don't feel strongly enough about either of them to tell you which one I think should win. So I'll leave it to you.
I think I'm going to have to say Eileen, and
this whole category is just depressing me, honestly.
I can believe Craig because, he's not the most
dim, isn't he?
vivacious and intelligent of characters, may well get obsessed with something like a crutch and just get a bit silly with it. But a literal personality change, near-death experience, music, cream horn scent, Eileen... I'm kind of going to go with that, just because that was a moment for me when Coronation Street, strayed away from being grounded in reality. As fun as it was.
Yeah, okay, I agree with you.
Although, I've just thought...
What?
Father Christmas.
Oh, no. What's his name? Chris Pringle.
Chris Pringle at Christmas.
Chris Kringle, more like it.
You're on fire today, lady.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know whether this counts or not, but I just kind of thought that he maybe deserves a shout out somewhere. I know it wasn't really Father Christmas, or was it? Did he actually do anything that was a bit give over-ish? But I think the fact that we were maybe led to believe that this guy who met Fizz on the road on her wedding day could actually be jolly old Saint Nick himself is a bit weird. But the fact that they didn't lean into it quite as much as they did Eileen's change of personality made me think it's not him.
On a different TV show, there might, a cheesy twee, don't want to be rude, but American TV programme, there would have been a lot more seeing this. And also, my favourite bit about it is this insinuation that he is Father Christmas means all his family's dead. Which is not very festive, is it?
No, that's true, actually. Chris Pringle's family were all dead.
It's like Chris Pringle in the world of Coronation Street, if he is Father Christmas, is like a supernatural being forced to facilitate other people's Christmas days but never enjoy it for himself, which is the most dark.
Just going for a walk.
Sinister.
Yeah, I think it looked like they were almost going down the magic route when he magically disappeared at the end, but then it just turned out that he popped behind the post box.
But then he walked and saw a shooting star.
You saw a twinkly shooting star.
I don't like shooting stars in fiction.
No, I'm not. I'm going to stick. I think we should stick with Eileen. The fact that we hadn't considered him, but I do want to give old Chris a shout out there. I think it's time.
Can I just say, there's definitely a theme there about supernatural.
Oh yeah. But it wasn't
one of your
properly supernatural. Was... But I know Jack and Vera. Vera come back as a ghost. I know. I'm fickle. So hang me.
We are fickle.
Right. Ken, do something, Gemma. This is the award that we give out to a character that's just
not done anything.
Not really doing anything. Somebody who's sitting back, treading water, twiddling their thumbs, kind of living up to being, hey, look at me, I'm on Coronation Street, but we think hasn't pulled their weight. And this isn't, again, this is the fact, this is the characters. They haven't been given anything to do. It's not the actor's fault necessarily, but I don't know.
And just to also say, some of these we know there are actually reasons. Like, for example, we've, like, say, Steve. He has not been in the show for some months because of Simon Gregson's real life medical issue.
He had 2 or 3 weeks, months off, but I still think that Steve has, like, what's the point of him?
And some people might have done stuff like Eileen, who the actress went on.
So Cleaver went on I'm a Celeb, didn't she?
But we don't really care about that because this isn't we're not letting people get away with it.
Sometimes I think, in fact, most years in the past, the Can Do Something award has been us kind of saying, "Come on, we want so and so to have a storyline." Yeah. So. I don't know whether we want to go that way this year, or whether we want to just stick to why are you here?
It's usually a good thing to win the Can Do Something award because you
absolutely.
Can use this recording to take to the boss upstairs and say, look, they're gagging for me to get a storyline.
I've got a feeling that we maybe voted Audrey last year, and she did do something this year, didn't she?
Yeah, good for her.
But I'm looking at the character count, and then so there's some characters here that really didn't, so much as have a fleeting appearance in Corrie this year, like Simon, for example, who managed 36 episodes for the whole year. Now I don't know what Alex Bain's been up to. I am kind of thinking maybe they should just let that character kind of disappear. But then I've got a newfound like of him after having a lovely chat with Alex Bain at Millie's party in August. So
listen.
I don't think anybody would really be noticed too much if Simon wasn't around anymore. But he is a legacy character as a Barlow.
Can we just talk about some characters who really have not had storylines that we would like to have storylines, or just think aren't being used?
Make it for positive at the moment.
So Ryan, he's not my favourite character, but really what has he done? I mean, he robbed the bistro.
That's basically it, isn't it?
And
I think he robbed the bistro. That's it.
He's in 43 episodes. Then we got Ronnie. Again, not a character that I'm desperate for more from, but he's been in 49 episodes, and can anybody tell me what he's done?
He was around for the bistro robbing.
He was around.
And that's about it.
Kirk, again.
You're not going to get... You're never going to get anything major out of Kirky, are you? I mean, I don't want him to do something. He'd never win because that implies that I actually want him to have a big story, and I don't.
I mean, I said this was characters we wanted more from, but I'm lying, aren't I? Because
you're just having a bit of a moment again.
Zidane was in London for months and we forgot.
No, I think, maybe a month and a half or so he was in London. We didn't even realise he's gone. But yeah, he and Gail both had 61 episodes this year. Gail feels like she maybe did do something around the Audrey storyline with the suicide. There were a few nice scenes with Helen Worth and Sue Nichols.
Beth hasn't done anything for years.
Not really.
Paul, one of the gay dads.
He's been around, but it feels like his worth on the street is
useless.
In question. I'm going to say, you know, out of characters that I actually do want to do something, desperate for Debbie to do more.
Yeah.
And when we got to the summer and we had Ed being electrocuted in her hotel, and there was a whole thing about, I'm losing money, what will I do? I thought, great, we get a Debbie storyline at last. And we did, but it was about 2-3 weeks maybe, which involved her staging a fake robbery of the bistro with Ryan as the bistro ninja, and then she disappeared off again, sold the bistro to Nick and Leanne at the end of the year, and who knows what she's up to now.
This is the trouble, because
Sue Devaney is such an asset to that show, and they're not using her.
Debbie is a wonderful character.
She's bloody brilliant. Out of all of the minor characters, because there's always going to be major and minor, and some go here and there in between, but Debbie is seemingly like perennially minor, which is weird because when they bring a character back, it's usually
say supporting.
Yeah, supporting. Then usually when they bring characters back, and Debbie came back after 30 odd years off, it feels like they want to do something with her, but they haven't really. She's been fabulous, but just.
I love Debbie. I
fleeting.
Want more of her.
Fabulous but fleeting is my assessment of Debbie.
She's my one that I'm going to pick because I love her so much. I think she's one of these characters that can't be in an A story as a main character.
She so could. I don't know what.
Yeah, exactly. I can't think of something. I mean, she could do... No, this is my point. She could do dramatic. I really know she can. She can be very dramatic. But an A story, to me, is only about drama. And I like Debbie as a comedic character. There's never been an A story that was a comedy story that lasted a year.
No.
I don't want that for Debbie.
I think the A story should be just called the I story, to be honest, because it's the issues, isn't it?
Yeah, but I want Debbie to be in it more, but I don't want them to take a character that is a good comedic character and turn her into a dramatic one, because I think they've done that before, for example, with Mary, and it doesn't work.
Mary has sometimes worked, but she's quite gone back to being silly again now.
Yeah,
I think Debbie's a very strong contender here. I think Nina, I'd like to see do more this year. And obviously she had a huge 2021 with the hate crime story, but it's been bizarre how little she's appeared in it this year. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe it's she needs a rest, Molly Gallagher, after the big year. But to have such a crucial character to the show, who was getting award nominations left, right, and centre, for her to be just, I don't know, let's have her having a bit of trauma and
anxiety.
Panic attack and anxiety in January time, and then that's about all we'll see of her during the year.
66 episodes.
It seems a little bit odd. And also, and this is a really weird one, Can Do Something, Shona, who was the most frequently appearing, or who had the most episodes under her belt last year. 142 episodes. No other character appeared in Coronation Street more than Shona did last year. But what did she do?
I love her though.
She's brilliant.
I don't mind her being just the Saki.
I think I've said this for a few years. It's time that David and Shona, who absolutely can have an A storyline, actually had one, because it felt like the Platts peak was when Kylie was the matriarch of the family, and now Shona's on board. It feels like she could do so much more, but
I do like her though. I like her as
it feels wrong to give this award to somebody who's appeared so much.
Yeah.
She's funny in the cab, not the cab, in the cafe.
I'll tell you one person who is totally diminished in appearances, and that's Tracy.
Yeah.
What has she done?
Complained about scaffolding, which is weird because going back, say, 5-6 years or so, it was Tracy versus Carla, and they were the main women of the street, weren't they? And Tracy is such a legacy character. I mean, she's been in the show for like 50 years or so, on and off.
50 years?
Well, yeah, she has.
Don't you out that woman?
Ish. 40, let's say 45. I can't remember exactly how old Tracy is, but I know she was born in the 70s.
50.
And is it that she's been teamed up with Steve and they can't give Steve a serious storyline, so Tracy's been dragged along with it?
Because I really liked Steve and Tracy together, and I always said that I prefer them as the couple. It felt to me more natural for Steve and Tracy to be together than anybody else. Also, I'm going to say, if you think back to the outrage that was sparked when Tracy came back into the show after she got away with murder, basically, because she was let out because of a dodgy
evidence,
forensic tech or whatever. The outrage that people had there about, oh gosh, she can't come back, she's irredeemable. And I mean, would people be mad if she came back as she is now? Because she came back, she was quite major and she had a lot of storylines. But if you said to them, look, don't panic, because she just won't really do anything, would they then be as mad? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it feels like, but my point is, it feels like they took a big, they made a big allowance for her to bring her back, didn't they? They kind of rewrote history a little bit and riled people up to bring Tracy back for what? So that in 2022 she could just wring her hands about Amy not having a dishwasher.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, Tracy would be my runner-up here. I would only want to pick Debbie as, no, please let her do something, because Tracy has had her time in the spotlight and Debbie hasn't, and I want Sue Devaney to show what she can do, because
she's already shown me and I love it.
Oh yeah, I want them to give her the chance to show her more. But if I was going for, if the Can Do Something storyline was just, come on, you're a waste of space here, to be honest. I'm gonna go for Ronnie.
Yeah.
Would anybody notice if Ronnie disappeared? I don't think so. And I think if Ryan went, I'd be a bit sad. But if Ronnie went, I'd be like, well, I don't think he adds anything to the show at the moment. Sorry, Vinter.
But I do think he could if they asked him to. I just feel like they expanded the Baileys too much.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they brought in Uncle Ronnie that nobody knew who he was instead of Sister Dee Dee when they were like, oh, we need another Bailey.
They gave him a few things to do, though I can't remember what.
Exactly. Well, he was just involved with the first storyline with
Aggie. The historic affair with Aggie.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to get Debbie as a come on, let's do something, then probably she's going to be pulling Ronnie along for the ride, isn't she?
Yeah.
Because they're apparently going out and they've had maybe one scene where we've seen any kind of romantic chemistry between them ever. But
yeah, in a show of unconvincing romances, theirs is probably one of the worst, isn't it?
They haven't even tried to convince
What
me.
are
There's
they
some
together
romances
for?
where I'm like, I don't believe that they'd be together, but this is like, they're only together through dialogue.
I don't understand.
Oh, I'm staying at Ronnie's tonight. Or I'm going to have a drinks with Ronnie.
What are they? What's the attraction?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So Debbie, we're going for Can Do Something.
We
Pretty
love you,
please.
Debbie, please.
Okay, great. What we got next?
Build up to now. And this
Which
is the story where we had a big hype. We had lots of stuff, and we were all getting ready.
Can't wait for the epic conclusion.
To the story that nothing really happened.
And then it just petered out.
With. And again, I'm going to say, we are aware that there might be reasons that we don't know why these didn't pan out. There's lots of different reasons why they don't pan out. Sometimes they're to do with political stuff, like, we can't have somebody shooting everybody up when there's just been a shooting in the papers. There might be a secret illness that we don't know about. There might be all kinds of schedule conflicts. I don't know.
I'm sure that there's still some turbulence
things.
with COVID, but I would say most of the time the things we're about to talk about are just down to
you can't say that.
No, I'm just guessing.
We've got no idea why these stories didn't pan out, but some of them,
they didn't give it as much time as it deserved. Maybe when they were planning it, they thought, well, people will be done with that storyline now, and actually we're saying, no, we want a little bit more. Let's mention a few. What are we talking about here? For me, I'm kind of leading the biggest untapped potential, and the bit that I could have seen it becoming a much bigger story is Peter and Mr. Thorne.
I was going to say that, yeah, because it felt like a big build up, and it's still got a few. It's still on Peter's mind, but I don't know what happened really. Can you remember?
I think he just
there was something like
he trick Thorne into revealing something. Simon possibly recorded it, but then Thorne tricked Simon into giving him the record. I don't remember, but it was
nothing happened conclusively.
Not really. He did just kind of get away with it, and it felt like as a Peter Barlow story, and Peter is one of the main guys of the street, or at least he should be. Chris Gascoigne's fantastic, and like Tracy, legacy character. I thought that, we haven't had a whole lot from Peter for about a year, because after he had his whole liver transplant thing in spring 21, the character went very quiet. So when the rumblings of, Peter's getting a new story came along, I was thinking, at last, brilliant. I love Peter. But it felt like it was over, within a month or two, and that was it.
But it had a big, David and Goliath kind of theme to it, didn't it? Because it's, working class hero versus a annoying, posh, powerful man. And he just kind of got away with it, and Peter punched him about a bit, and no more questions. He's gone somewhere else. I don't really. And also there was it felt like it was going to be an Aggie storyline, and then it just disappeared. That disappeared, and it was that nobody at his work said anything.
Aggie's been on the cusp of being a major player this year, but not quite made it. It was the same with the Tim storyline as well, where she did get some lovely stuff, but.
Another thing where I felt like it ran out of steam before I was ready for it to stop was Phil and Fizz and Tyrone, because they were building. I thought there was going to be more of a
with the annulment you're talking about.
I thought there was going to be more of a kind of a punchline or a conclusion to this budding bromance he had with Tyrone, because he backed off in the end, and it felt a bit like he backed off because he respected Tyrone as a friend more than he wanted Fizz as a wife. I thought it
was quite exciting.
I thought Mimi was going to come back, and she didn't, which is disappointing.
I thought it was quite exciting when Fizz and Tyrone were hiding their secret relationship from Phil, because I thought if he finds out he's not going to sign the annulment, and then he does find out, and it's like, oh no, and then he rips up the annulment in front of them, but literally the very next episode he just comes round them and I was like, oh actually sorry I will sign it anyway, I'm going now, and then it's like, oh, is Phil gone then? That it was a, I suppose the big climax of it, if you will, was the wedding, and this was just the aftermath, but it could have gone on just that little bit longer. Because there was always the possibility that he was going to say, no, I'm not going to go for the annulment and you're not allowed to get married for a year. But I'm not too fussed by that one, but it felt odd at the time. Another story that kind of went nowhere, I would say, weirdly, was Max and his naked pictures. Now, Max had plenty of trauma in 2022, so he was just already about to get, involved with Griff. Little did he know. But that felt like something big at the time. There were a couple of issue stories. The upskirting one was another one earlier in the year, where it's like, oh, they're going to have a big, social media kind of story where we're going to learn lessons not to share things online, and we got to be respectful of each other. And then it just petered out really quickly, because Amy had a protest at school about the upskirting, kind of disappeared. But Max, literally, after everything we had with Asher a couple of years ago, where her video of her undressing goes online, it's a major thing. Deb's still paying to keep it off the adult sites and everything now. Max, on the other hand, he sends a picture of, they're very vague about what it was that was in here, whether it was a full frontal or just to zoom in on one particular piece of his anatomy. But that goes through to the bullies, and then the summer holidays happened, I think, and then that's kind of it, and nobody's mentioned it since. You feeling the same about that one?
I can't even remember it happening, which is how it goes to show. I mean, I do remember it happening, but yeah.
Anything else?
The fact that Emma and Faye killed somebody, but they didn't, or did they?
Yeah.
And it's like John's like, nah, I don't really. I'd rather go to Australia, to be honest. Which, I mean, Australians probably hate this joke, but it's part of the course. If you kill somebody in England, you get sent to Australia. So maybe she was just. Maybe John was like, no, it's actually on the form, because if you want to emigrate, you have to have committed a crime.
That story was all kinds of misguided. It was a bam at the beginning of the year, literally the first episode of the year, I think. There were comedic bits like Craig having to sneak round to look under the sink because Faye's fake nail going down the plug hole, and then getting walked in on by John. Then he gets obsessed with a crutch, and then there's the silliness with the e-fit and everything, and then John comes along and he's a bit of a doofus, isn't he? Kind of a lovable dope, but they were kind of involved. Well, yeah, I think the coroner's report was that he had a blood clot because he was hit by a car, and then there was also the fact that it was Faye that was driving, but Emma had been drinking and she was
over the limit.
Yeah, and she was the one that was in charge
found out, and he heard them talking about it, and he said, and he didn't say anything about it. It just felt like, like I said before when we were talking about the year in general and the lack of consequences, it just felt like Corrie started as it meant to go on with that story of a murder.
Yeah.
Well, a manslaughter.
Yeah.
And these two characters, like, if it had been, this is my question, if it had been unlikable characters, and maybe if it had been older men, say, for example, would people have minded more? Or is it because they were two, fairly likeable young girls? I
wouldn't say that Faye is mega likeable, to be honest, but Emma's popular, isn't she? It just felt like, how are we going to get rid of Emma? And they kind of almost got too far down the road, and they're like, we can't turn back now, we're doing this. Faye's had a bit of a rough year on the whole, really, because she also had her early menopause storyline, which could have been an affecting issues storyline, but apart from the odd mention here and there, and then, a couple of months off, then Craig's trying to control her diet, and then we don't hear about it again. That's been a build-up to now, but I kind of feel that we will hear more about it, so I don't think it would be fair to give Faye's early menopause that. Toya's trial was a bit of a build-up to Nout.
It was a big story, and
biggest story of the year.
A big shocking twist when it turned out, I did actually kill him. And then
the trial itself was over in a day, or was it a day, 2 days maybe?
It felt like they didn't give it enough time by far, and it also felt like there was loads of scenes missing afterwards where she was going, gosh, how can I live with myself?
Yeah,
now?
It's just like, anyway, I'm going to take the wedding ring off because Spider's here now.
Yeah.
There's some strong contenders here. I mean, this won't win, but I just want to give a shout out to Daniel and Nikki's Edinburgh trip that they were organising for a month or two back in, when was it, March sort of time, when we thought, what's going to happen when they go to Edinburgh?
No, it's fine.
Is he going to have his wicked way with her? But then it was like, oh no, they mentioned that we went to Edinburgh. Okay then, so
it's difficult.
This is a tricky one. Lydia, that was almost a build up to now, because that was, I guess, the big mega drama storyline of the first quarter of the year. And after Adam goes over the balcony, again, the next episode, I think it was, she's like, oh yeah, sorry I was evil. But I just wanted to teach you a lesson anyway, I'm going now.
Sarah kind of confronts her, and there was a bit in the hospital bed, and
yeah, but that just felt like it was, is that it for this story? And yes, it really was. And not only was it for the story, but it's pretty much all we saw of Adam for the rest of the year as well, apart from the odd fleeting appearance. This is a really, really difficult one. I'm not leaning in any particular way. Is there anything there that's shouting out to you?
From a personal perspective, Toya's trial feels like a missed opportunity, because there was also all the stuff about the car, and was the crash really?
There was a lot of mystery involved in that,
and
wasn't there?
I know that it was partly our fault because we did run away with it, but it wasn't based on nothing.
No.
That cryptic shot at the end when they crashed and it pans out, and then there's a man walking along the road and a car just driving off into the distance.
Yeah.
And also the CCTV where they're like, oh, this is the only bit we've got, and it doesn't actually show anything except you driving into the wall. All of those were like red herrings, and I think that they would put them in there, and I don't know why, because it felt like it was going to go a different direction completely.
Yeah. And
it's frustrating.
Apart from dead Imran, what have the consequences been? Nothing much. Life goes on.
It really should have ruined Toya's character, and I didn't want that to happen. So in my, but why do that to one of your best actresses and one of your legacy characters? Yeah. I don't understand it.
Maybe we should go for this, because some of the other ones that we've mentioned, like the upskirting, the Max naked picture, the early menopause, the thorn. They were smaller fry, weren't they?
The other thing that bothers me is that Emma and Faye killing John's granddad and revealing it to John, and John's like, I never liked him anyway.
It wasn't quite that, but
he could have.
It might as well have been.
That would have made more sense. John was just like, well, accidents happen. He didn't need to come to terms with it at all.
Nobody faced any kind of justice. Well, neither of the two of them did because of that, did they?
No, because John was the only representative we had of Ted's family, and he didn't care.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to get his leg over.
Yeah. I think for silly storyline it would be that, but I can't. I'm struggling actually now to fight the personal investment that I had in the Toya and Imran story, which just, despite being my favourite storyline of the year, just didn't quite stick the landing.
I don't want to be responsible for making it win?
It's both of us. You're the one that kind of said it towards the end.
know.
I'm taking it along to
but I feel guilty
seemingly
because
logical conclusion.
I don't
No,
want it to be
let's
true.
do it. Let's do it. Let's say Toya's trial build up to Nout. But I still love her. Speaking of Toya, I think she might be quite a strong contender for the next award, Gemma, our Weatherfield Waterworks Award. Now, back in the day of Kate and Rana and everything, there was, they went through multiple boxes of tissues every episode, and I don't think that this year has been one for, mega crying, but we still got the award. Who's been just turning on the waterworks this year for you?
As far as who has cried a lot, Abby definitely gets it. But for being pathetic and seeming to bring it on yourself, it's Summer, isn't it?
I struggle to
She hasn't
give this to
cried a
Doyle
lot.
because she's not cried. I think that she might be. She could be a contender for the character assassination award later. But I think you've got to be shedding some buckets of tears to be considered for this. Abby did. Yeah, she went through a lot of trauma when she was fighting to get Alfie and everything, and then she lost. I'm thinking we've seen more crying from Abby in previous years.
Yeah.
I mean, Laura possibly, but, she had something to cry about, didn't she? She had months to live from her stomach cancer, and she was taking on the blame for Gary killing Rick. I'm kind of thinking we've probably seen the most blubbering from Toya again this year.
I think that's right, yeah.
She found out that her partner and then later husband cheated on her with Abby. She wanted so desperately to have that baby. It was within her reach. So was Elsie. Both cruelly snatched away from her. She lost her husband in a car crash that, yes, she caused. She was crying away in the police station, crying away at the trial. I don't know whether there's much discussion to be had here.
But so she's also very justified in her crying, isn't she?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's no shame to be the winner of this if you've got something to be sad about.
And there's been some very powerful scenes of her. I'm thinking of the scene where she had Alfie in her arms.
Oh, in the hospital bed.
That was probably
one of the best scenes of the year.
Yeah.
Where she's remembering how amazing Imran was.
Even her with Spider, realising that he was fibbing to her a little bit, or she's had a lot to deal with, and Georgia Taylor's been fantastic. She just really is. She just always looks devastated. It's really heart-wrenching.
I think,
and honestly, she's one of the few actresses that if I watch her cry, it starts making me cry as well.
That's how you know you're doing it well. I think in some years, the Weatherfield Waterworks has gone to a character where we've just said, "Oh, grow up,
Put yourself together."
Put yourself, yeah, exactly. And I don't think people are saying that towards Toya. I think that although there have been many tears shed, it's not a constant stream like it has from some ladies in the past. And it is always women that seem to go for this. Boys can cry too,
Boys can cry too, but I'm going to say that, it's a sexism against men that means we're not really ever going to see.
Well, maybe 2023 is
the year. But again, maybe have we ignored in the past? Because if you think about, say, for example, when David went through his rape storyline, he cried a lot.
Yeah.
Has Max cried a lot? I'm not sure. Maybe we just ignore male
Aiden,
tears.
of course.
Yeah.
Look what happened when everyone ignored Aiden's
tears. I
don't
think you can give somebody Weatherfield Waterworks if they've done that.
Toya, we going with Toya?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 2 awards in a row for her. Good job. Next up, we have the No One Can Ever Know Award, where we look at some of the silliest secrets that the characters on the street have had to keep.
These aren't just silly secrets, but reasons for keeping a secret makes no sense and is only really for drama, isn't it?
Yeah. So what have we got here then? Just having a quick scan
Emma and
down.
Faye hiding the fact that Ted was dead was silly.
Because they could have just said, he was fine when we saw him last. I think he must have died of something else. Let's not ever tell anyone we were there. And that was a long lie, wasn't it, for a good few months. But then the truth came out and everything was kind of okay about it. Well, John was, at least, anyway.
Not telling Sally about his heart bypass operation, you know, I can sympathise a bit about not wanting to share horrible health problems because you don't want them to be really true.
Yeah.
But
I'm wondering, like, I know a secret that seemed very silly at the time. When Abby was going to flee the country with Alfie and she was getting her fake passports and everything, and Kevin was going along with it. And I would think that although Kevin loves Abby, I think he's more of an honourable, no, this isn't right.
Well, I would have also thought
he would have stood up,
like,
for him.
Just to give you some advice here, this is bonkers.
Yeah, and
it's not going to work.
That wasn't particularly forthcoming, so that's quite a strong one for me. I mean, so much with Summer has been secrets and lies, hasn't it? You know,
Aaron and Summer.
Aaron and Summer agreeing to keep each other's secrets, where he finds out that she's not been taking her insulin properly. She finds out that he's got a violent dad. Okay, let's keep that quiet then, shall we? We had things like when she was the one that took the revision cards into the exam and Ardy was the one that got in trouble for it. They both kind of said, oh, okay, let's not say it was you, Summer. That was silly. All the lies about whether or not she's pregnant or not, and the miscarriage and everything.
Schrodinger's baby.
Yeah, she did.
So at one point, at certain points, it's difficult to remember whether she was or wasn't pregnant.
Yeah.
Sometimes she's lying she was, and sometimes she's lying that she wasn't.
She was a massive fibber this year, and so I mean, usually no one can ever know is awarded to a particular secret, but it could well be this year that we decide just for all of the secrets Summer. Together, maybe Summer.
I think we should give it to her.
Well, let's just see what else have we got. We got things like Abby's secret baby. She didn't want anyone to know that she'd given birth, did she? And she went on the run. We had Sam and Roy having their secret chess matches together. Still the truth behind Rick's death.
Well, that's not really... That makes sense why that's a secret.
But Kelly... What she got to lose by outing Gary now? I mean, she tried to get him killed, but I know she ended up just kind of saying, oh, well, I guess you've learned your lesson. I'm going to disappear off now because it's my final episode. So that's a possible contender. We've got Spider being a secret undercover cop.
Yeah, but you had to keep that a secret.
I guess so.
You can't go around telling everybody you're a undercover cop.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other sort but a secret undercover cop.
Fair enough. We got Sam and Hope keeping each other's secrets, where he finds out that she's been contacting this mad dog online who turned out to be the book writer, and she found out that she was writing these secret letters, so there's a bit of secret keeping there. It doesn't feel as big as some of the Summer storyline. I mean,
Summer's just been fibbing all year long about anything that she possibly could. Hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's just so mixed up.
Yeah.
I think I'm giving it to Summer.
Can I just say, I mean, surely we can't give this person another award, but the whole let's keep it a secret that I actually did kind of know what I was doing when I drove into a wall, a secret, don't tell anyone, Leanne.
Yeah, but why would you tell everyone? This is an award for people who's kept a secret for no reason.
Just for the drama of it.
Yeah. If I was Tori, I'd keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, okay, it was a big secret, but you're right, I guess it's
you
kind of
could only really
understandable.
argue and say, well, there's no point keeping it a secret because everyone knows. But, I mean, I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah. What else we got? They're kind of the main contenders, really, aren't they? And you're right.
Clint and Abby and Bernie and Joseph.
Yeah. But that was when Clint delivered Joseph and Hope home, didn't he? And he said that he'd found them, but I'm not going to count that. I think it's hard to argue against Summer here. Just
Summer's various fibs.
I mean, yeah, this year in cinema has been the year of the many many Pinocchio releases, God. And I think we've got our very own Weatherfieldian Pinocchio in summer this year. Tell you what, if her nose grew, she'd be, where would it be?
Bolton.
Yeah, she'd be, her nose would be what was going across the road and trip Stephen up on his motorbike.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, fine. Summer for her various lies and manipulations and everything like that. And I do feel a little bit sorry for her, poor girl. But, yeah.
Well, I think she's going to win the next award as well.
I think that she might do.
So the next award is for You Daft Apeth, which is the award...
you sounded so southern when you
Sorry,
said
Michael.
You daft Apeth.
Apeth is a word we use down south.
Okay.
And we say it Apeth.
Okay, then. Go on, then.
My granddad used to call me a daft Apeth. Thank you.
Oh, fair enough, though. I didn't realise.
I'm allowed to use it. It's not cultural appropriation to say Apeth.
So what's the Daft Apeth Award for anybody that hasn't seen the Bobbins before?
It's just for people that act like an idiot, isn't it? And again, it's similar to the other one about... I can't remember what it was.
What?
Where it's... the fictional, like...
Oh yeah, it's similar to the Give Over Award, isn't it?
But this is about a character specifically getting up.
Yeah, who's just been silly.
And I think we'll save what Summer's been up to.
We'll save her, shall we?
And we'll talk about like Emma and Faye hiding dead Ted. Craig thinking that Mary was attacking somebody with a sword or she was being murdered. Daniel pushing Max down the stairs and then saying he didn't do it, which I thought was great. All the stuff that Imran did to get Alfie back.
Some of these are tied, are very similar to the lying awards, aren't they? Like things like Kevin agreeing to help Abby flip the country. Well, why'd you do that?
Another one is that's different is Fizz marrying Phil, even though she didn't really know she wanted to, and she
made the decision pretty soon after she said those vows that she wanted to speak with Tyrone. So there must have been an element of doubt there, and to actually say I do and go through with the whole ceremony, that's a bit of a daft thing to do, I would say.
Simon just giving Thorne the recording of him confessing.
Yeah,
when he got tricked,
he's young and naive.
Because Thorne made it look like he'd transferred the money into his bank account, and he's like, "Okay, then here's the recording back."
Going back to what you said about Fizz agreeing to marry Phil being a bit silly. I'm also going to say that Ardy agreeing to marry Kelly was a little bit of a decision made in haste.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really sweet together, but it started off, let's just pretend we're going out together for a laugh so we can win a competition. And then to turn into, oh no, let's actually elope to Gretna Green. I'm kind of, it's probably for the best that it didn't turn out that well for them, as tragic as it was for Ardy.
Almost everything Stephen did last year was silly.
Stephen?
Yeah. With him saying, "Oh, Audrey, I didn't need your money," and killing Leo.
Yeah,
that's silly, wasn't it?
That's so silly. I don't know. I think Stephen was all right. I don't think he should get this one. But somebody related to Stephen. You remember that scene where Kevin smashed up Stephen's car when it was in the way? That was a bit of a silly thing to do. But it was a momentary lapse of judgment and silliness. Similar to kind of a bit silly that Toya drove into a wall when she got mad at Imran in the car. But I don't think that she can win this one because, we are kind of leading towards Summer here.
Tyrone thinking he could just buy all the copies of I'm a Murderer by John Stape and hide them in the
that was silly. George buying a tiny sofa. He
Not
probably should have done
check
the measurements. Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is maybe it said like 2-seater sofa,
I don't know.
but I can't give him too much of a get out on there.
For that, wasn't he?
Is he? How old is he? He's in his 40s, 50s, and he's never bought a sofa in his life. And he didn't really realise there were pitfalls.
I mean, all of these are very silly, and I feel bad because it's like almost every character has done something that you might say is silly at some point during the year, and it's kind of needs to be done so that plots can go the way that the big bosses want the plots to go. But I hate it when they make characters do things that they wouldn't normally do. Yeah,
but let's talk about the elephant in the room, who is Summer.
Okay, so what's she done that's been silly this year? Well, go on.
What has she done that's sensible?
that's
I don't think she's done a single thing all year where you go, yeah, okay, That makes sense.
I'd have done that as well.
Honestly, I'm trying to think of all the stuff she's got up to, and I mean, some of these things are part of more wider issues, storylines that actually could be a very powerful, tackling of these problems.
I mean,
her
she's got
eating
a
disorder
and diabulimia and everything.
Having an eating disorder on top of having diabetes is incredibly serious. But it's just the way that they portray her and the compounding of bad decisions on top of each other that it starts to feel like you can't really address this as an issues-based storyline because it's not relatable in any way. Because,
you're just face-palming throughout the episode.
Because other people, you can't. I don't see how you can relate to her if you've got diabetes. And I've heard people say this. When they talked about who have diabetes, who've talked about her storyline, she's totally unrelatable because she just does everything wrong.
So let's have a quick reminder then about some of her not so wise moves this year. Numerous times she's been squirting her insulin down the sink, which she kind of needs to stay alive.
Yeah. I mean, that's not, that's part of her diabulimia.
Yeah, I know.
But added on to that,
yeah, she's not eaten very sensibly. She's been scoffing things that she hasn't been scoffing, and then not eating when she should be eating, and that's just led to her collapsing a couple of times.
Many times.
You would have thought that collapse once, fool me once, shame on me, or whatever.
Collapse once, shame on you.
Something
twice,
like that.
shame on me.
Come on.
Collapse 5 times. What's going on?
Taking those revision cards into her exam this year. In what universe do you think you can get away with that? I'm sure some people do.
Thinking
but
that
come
she could
on,
cheat
Summer,
as
you're
well.
smart.
She's not that smart if she has to cheat in an exam.
She's book smart, and I know she's one of the reasons I think she said that she wasn't ready for the exam was because of all her eating problems and everything. But I think she could have winged it.
The thing is, right, an exam isn't just about how much do you remember. It's a specific pressure test of how well you can cope with that pressure. And I'm not going to say that it's easy because I nearly had a nervous breakdown when I did my GCSEs. I was genuinely incredibly stressed and anxious about it, but I did very well. It's a test of not just knowledge, but also how do you react under pressure. And the fact that she tried to cheat and then collapse or whatever she did, or go to the toilet or something, it shows that she didn't cope well with the pressure. And the other thing about it is that not everybody can, and that's fine. There's other things that you can do in life that don't need great exam results. But Summer doesn't seem to have even realised that, does she?
No.
You don't have to be book smart or good at exams to be successful in life.
No. And
Coronation Street could have used Summer as an example of that. But what's she doing now? She's just wandering around in the factory, falling over every 5 minutes there.
At least there's a lot more places with soft landings in the factory, isn't there?
Just falling into big punnets of pants.
Yeah. What else has she done? She had that episode where she was getting high on hash brownies.
Getting the bishop.
That means some people would say whatever, it's all for fun, but others would say maybe not a good idea with all her other health problems, might compound it a little bit. And yeah, as you said, that did end up getting the bishop stoned as well. She accidentally got pregnant, and I don't want to, I know these things happen, it happens. But it's building a picture of this character, isn't it? She lost her virginity this year, and within months she got pregnant.
And getting the bishop stoned, and messing up your exams, and squirting the incident down the sink.
And then once she is pregnant, agreeing to give the baby away to Esther and Mike, who are clearly sinister to anybody else who's watching. And she's
not
like,
Esther's fault.
Okay then. And she says she's going to put Mike on the birth certificate. She was just going along with this just because she wants to kind of be nice.
Also, naively expecting poor Aaron's dad to just immediately get better from one round of rehab.
Yeah, I mean, £10,000
Never thinking that it could possibly not stick the first time, which I guess is just being naive, but,
She agreed to keep Esther and Mike's money, or she decided to keep Esther and Mike's money, even though she knew that the baby had gone and she didn't think she was going to get caught out. She was just kind of, I can imagine her going around the whole year with her fingers crossed that everything was going to turn out all right. And she's like, this magic isn't working. I think
That's
she needs
exactly
to.
What that is.
I think I think she needs to find a new faith. The crossing your fingers technique's not working. I think she needs to have a bit of a word with Billy and see if she can get in there with his lot.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Magical thinking.
Yeah.
Is she's just been guilty of it all year. Like, this will work out. I don't know how, but it will.
And the sad thing about all of this is, I think as an audience, we're supposed to feel sorry for her. And like saying, oh, this poor girl, her situation look what it's driven her to, and she's so lovely, and she just wants to do the best for everyone, and she wants to give Esther and Mike her baby, and she wants to keep Aaron happy, and she doesn't want to let her dads down, and everything like that. But I think, and there definitely are a lot of Summer fans out there. We've seen them online, but the overwhelming majority of viewers, from what I've seen at least, are just like, you're such an idiot, Summer.
It's hard, isn't it? It's really hard. And it's certainly not true of every character who is the architect of their own destruction, that we don't feel sympathy for them. People like Abby, for example, who, she's a drug addict and she's fallen off the wagon a few times, and she still manages to, the show creates sympathy for her, despite the fact that she has made decisions that have caused herself harm. Whereas Summer, I just after a while, this year, honestly, this whole year has just been one thing after another.
I know, and
it feels like she shouldn't be allowed to make any decisions for herself.
If this storyline doesn't wrap up soon, she could be a strong contender for Daft Apeth for 2023 as well, couldn't she? We've already seen a few things this year, which has left me going, door.
I know that this isn't part of 2022, but when she was stuck overnight in the nursery, and she could have done so many things to try to rescue herself, and what did she do? She went to sleep on some newspaper like a puppy.
Yeah, after bashing her shoe against the window a couple of times. Honestly, well, I mean, it can't be anyone else, can it?
Yep, Daft Apeth.
Daft Apeth. There's got to be some of this, yeah. And she is a bit of a contender for our next award as well, which is the Character Assassination Award. And this is where we think of characters that have, really had a bit of a rum-do this year, and the writers, for plot purposes, we feel have made them do things that maybe they wouldn't do, and we kind of left at the end of the year thinking, oh, we don't hold you in as strong regard, as high regard as maybe we did at the beginning of the year. I mean, I think there's definitely one kind of standout contender here. Is there? I mean,
what are you talking about?
I kind of think Toya. The fact that
she was a character assassin.
The fact that they made her say, yes, I knew what I was doing. I drove into that
did they do that?
wall. Yes, I did kind of.
I don't understand why they did it.
She ends the year a murderer. No. She was found not guilty of murder, wasn't she?
Yeah.
But she's there's something very manslaughtery about it, and nobody really seems to care. I mean, in a way, it's not a character assassination because everyone's like, oh yeah, whatever, and she literally has got away with it, but that's got to be eating away at her soul somewhere. And I'm kind of just thinking a little bit less of Toya, and it's really difficult for me because I love Toya now than I was thinking 6 months ago before the trial. Like, I wanted the trial to be a moment of triumph for her, where she suddenly remembers the truth, and and then for whatever reason the crash wasn't her fault, but we never got to it. But I mean, she's not the only contender. Summer could say that she's a character assassination, but I think in order for it to be Summer, we'd have to hold her in a little bit higher regard 12 months ago, and when she was already kind of plummeting downwards at this time of the year. We got Imran. Did they kind of do a number on him before?
They did a bit. They really did, didn't they? Because he was a liar, and the whole reason he was murdered by his wife is because he's an arse.
Yeah.
But then in the end, he did rescue her.
He had that moment of heroism.
And anyway,
he did,
just to point out, we keep forgetting this, but actually, Toya didn't kill Imran. He had a heart condition that killed him because he survived the crash.
Oh, I know. But
then again,
who
is
knows
it like
whether it had flared up?
Is it like a Ted situation where it led to it? It did, didn't it? I'm so confused. It shouldn't be this confusing.
I think that they made. It was nice that they had that moment of heroism, but having him lie in court, and I'm still standing by him and saying, Ben was the one who coerced him to lie in court. They made a really good job of making it look like he didn't want to do it. But...
Well, it was a convenient, you know, it was convenient for him to believe Ben, and so he didn't ask too many questions.
No, yeah,
which is
no,
probably
he
the
didn't.
worst you can really say.
But for a lot of the first half of the year, over the first few months of the year, he was hiding the fact that he'd had it off with Abby. Then he tried to hide that he was having the baby, and he was sneaking off to the hospital without Toya knowing. He didn't.
But,
I wouldn't go so
okay.
far as to say he left the show as a villain, and lots of people still hold him in high regard. And heaven's sake, he won the Top Lad Award for the best male character of the year in the Conversation Street Awards.
But can I just also say, Imran wasn't necessarily always a completely squeaky clean guy. He was a bit cutthroat when he first came in.
Yeah, he definitely had that side to him, but they leaned more heavily into that in his final
Because Charlie
months.
D'Amelio is such a sweet, happy
he's too
guy.
charming,
and
isn't he?
yeah, I think it's one of those. If Imran's had been in the show for longer, I don't know how he would have changed, but I'm certain he would have done, because I think that as the writers get to know the actors a bit more, not that I think that they really do anymore. Have an opportunity.
I don't know. Don't know what happened.
It changes.
Yeah.
Things can change.
I've seen some people, just to give throw another name out there, some people saying that Spiders had a bit of a character assassination this year, in that, you know, lots of people not been too happy with him coming back working for the man, being an undercover cop.
Well,
he's not quite the same Spider that we remember from before, but I'm going to give him a pass for that, because we all change over the course of 20 years.
Can I
and
say
I've still quite enjoyed him, so...
That his reasons for why he became a cop were completely unconvincing to me.
But not enough to say that
And
he's had
illogical.
a full-on character assassination.
It's one of
I'd
these
be interested
things,
to
yeah.
know what happens to him now the secret's out. Is he going to be more back to how he used to be?
Is he going to be a policeman? A normal policeman? Because I don't actually know enough about undercover policemen, and I don't think it matters, because Coronation Street doesn't exist in the real world, so they do what they like. But if you're an undercover cop, are you a normal cop, or are you only an undercover cop?
I can't remember. We have watched plenty of episodes of The Bill, but it was a while ago.
It doesn't make any difference. Is he? Could we see him in uniform, like Craig?
No.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
He is a
he
detective.
Or
Yeah.
so what is he going to do? Is he going to... I've got the feeling if he's going to stay in the show for any longer, he's going to he's going to quit being a police officer, because he's going to say it's too
quite
stressful.
like that. It was
and
fun
then
that
he'll
he...
just hang out with Toya.
It was fun that he
they'll
had a
both be
secret
unemployed
when he
together.
came in, and he was having his secret phone calls and everything, and it added a bit of mystery.
We don't need another
I
police
don't
officer.
need him to be a cop anymore. It doesn't quite fit
Especially
him.
as he also is very similar in personality to Craig, I'm going to say. They're both amiable, happy guys, and you can't have two incompetent, happy police officers.
I vehemently disagree that Spider's incompetent.
He is incompetent.
I think he's smart,
He's not.
but he's just not suited
He
to
had
the
one
police.
job.
He's really good at organising protests and you know, and saving the planet and stuff.
He's rubbish at undercover police officer, because he failed.
Do you want to say anything about Carla at this point?
Yes.
Because I mean, again, I think it's maybe not
This
shouldn't
has
count
been-
as her, because it's been a long term.
Yeah, this has been
decline.
a low-key, long-term undermining of everything that made Carla such an epic character. And again, we haven't really had very much feedback about her, and I know that she's got massive fans, and Alison King as well, as an actress. It's got her massive fan base, and I certainly don't mean any disrespect to her as an actress. None of this is about the actors.
No. Ali King's
all.
very strong.
I just don't know what they think they're doing with her, because she, like I've said this many times, she doesn't need Jacob to help her sell pants. She doesn't need to make Kirk into her deputy. She doesn't need
Summer.
vacuous Sarah as her partner.
No.
She's coming off as, she used to be strong and
She used to be a lone wolf.
forthright, but now she's turned into a petty moaner. Like when she was rude to people in the factory, it's because she had a job to do and she wasn't there to make friends. But recently, she's just turned into a bit petty.
I did like it
small.
when she and this doesn't count for 22 because it was in this year, but she stood up to Sarah and like pretty much fired her the other week
Yeah, that
after
was
Sarah
good.
said, you know, you're past your prime,
But-
Carla.
but
we
it
need
was-
more of that.
But that was precipitated by Carla being a bit of a bitch to Sarah for no real reason. And she's not a bitch for no reason. She is just a strong woman, and people find that very confronting and difficult to deal with, which is why Carla was such an important feminist character, because she didn't like to cook. No, that's a joke. Because she was just a strong businesswoman, and she was very much like Mike Baldwin in a way, where she didn't really care about anything but the bottom line. Yeah. She's not in it to put Sarah down and make her feel bad about herself. If she could use old Carla, if she could have used Sarah in any way, she would have done it to get ahead.
Do you remember one of Carla's early storylines where she had those Polish workers working all hours?
She killed one of them.
Hours exactly, until one of them keels over and dies, falls down the stairs from exhaustion. Yeah, the new Carla would just be wanting to make friends with them. Yeah,
with that attitude.
I don't think we can give this award to Carla because it's not necessarily a 22 thing. It's been happening for a while.
You're right.
Stephen, perhaps, because he came in where lots of people were fairly ambivalent towards him, and now he's not coming back from this, is he?
No, I agree in that. I agree with the sentiment, but I can't give it to him for my personal love of him. Like, I couldn't have cared less about Stephen before last year. In fact, I probably wouldn't have remembered he existed. But I love him dearly now, and I can't say that him being a murderer has made him a worse character.
Just a couple that I kind of would want to throw out there. Violet, as in Violet Wilson, Dylan's mum. She's just kind of like, yeah, I don't want my son anymore. He can come and live with you, Sean.
I'm a rich Londoner. I don't care about children anymore.
Yeah, so that's a bit of an odd one. I put Laura. Why would the character assassinate Laura?
I don't know why you've written that, because she redeemed herself.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why she's in my list. I probably had a good reason at one time. I'm gonna go towards Toya here.
Oh dear. I abstain.
You can't abstain.
No,
You've abstained before.
No.
Don't let me be the one
you be the
who's
bad guy.
throwing Toya to the wolves and all of this.
No.
I said that she was there in the
I love her.
In the silly story.
No, I love her.
I know, but if you love her, why can't you grab hold of some of that annoyance that you have?
She can't do anything wrong.
Of what the writers
I love her.
and showrunners have done to her. Gemma's just sitting here desperately scrolling on her phone.
I'm on Twitter.
She's also going through Twitter saying, no, if I go on social media, I'm not here, and I bear no responsibility for giving Toya the Character Assassination Award.
It's not my fault.
I think it has to be. I think it has to be.
I didn't do it.
Put your phone down, for heaven's sake. You're
picture.
doing an awards show.
I'm
you don't see them getting their
Steve
mobiles out in the middle of the Oscars now, do you? Or even the Razzies,
They do.
which is what this
They
is.
do.
Say it, Gemma. Say that Toya is winning the Character Assassination Award this year.
I won't.
Who do you say then? Then you give me your winner.
Violet.
No,
Move
you're
on.
not saying
Can
Violet.
we move on?
Oh, I can't believe you backed out of this one.
No.
Well, I'm saying Toya. Redeem her Coronation Street
All right then,
somehow.
okay, I will. I want more. I want Toya. I want 2023 to be Toya's year of redemption.
Okay,
I want her and Spider to open a juice bar in the precinct together and just be fun and cool and hippie-ish.
Bring him round back from the dead.
Yeah.
Get some of Bernie's juju beans or whatever it is.
Get Toya
and
to
a
go.
Ouija board.
Get Toya and Leanne to just be in the bistro one day, and Toya be like, oh, funny thing, I just remembered actually. Do you remember last year? Now, you probably don't actually. When I told you I killed Imran on purpose, I remember now I didn't. It was a joke.
Yeah, that would be
just
fine.
a funny joke.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
And actually, I'm offended that you believe me.
Maybe that'd get a give over award, but it'd be worth it. Right, we've got a couple of awards left. We're nearly the end of the night.
How many have you got left?
Just two awards left, and the penultimate one is the Rovers Rubbish Return Award.
This is a bitchy one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, but this is a lot of nominations for this. This is when we look at characters who've returned to the street during a 12-month period and say which ones of those really wasn't worth the effort. And Coronation Street has seen plenty of returns this year. Let me just run down all these names at the moment, because
Can you put the blanket on? Because you said you put the blanket on.
The hot blanket has been on.
It's not on.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's
no,
free.
I didn't press the hot button.
Told
Sorry.
you.
Okay, we're now going to get warm knees. So these are all characters that came back in 2023. There are loads, and always, whenever I do this, it always makes me excited to wonder who it's going to be in the upcoming year. Sorry, these are the ones that came back in 22. So we had Linda, which is Joseph's grandma at the beginning of the year. We had Weird Lenny, the private investigator, for an episode or so, just for the laughs. We had Nikki Sex Worker. We had Spider, of course, huge one. D.S. Beckett was back to make Gary quiver in his boots. Wendy Papadopoulos, massive. Stephen Reed, of course. Dylan Wilson, back after a weird, kind of staggered return to the street in the past few years, where it felt like he was coming back and then he didn't. I guess that's COVID.
These aren't nominees. These are just
people who returned.
Yeah.
We had Sarah Habib. We had Martha. Wow, huge return there. Claudia and Charles made it back for an episode in the summer at Chariot Square.
Great.
Loan Shark Karen. Sharon, sorry. What would a Karen be like if they were a loan shark?
They should have a character called Karen.
Oh, Karen McDonald. We got Rick returned as a ghost. Harvey came back for a few scenes in prison. Jeff made one reappearance in Yasmin's Nightmares. And towards the beginning of the year, so I don't know why she's at the end of the list, we had Grace come back just to settle some scores.
Okay, I have some
mega numbers for returns there.
I have a clear winner for myself.
For who's the most rubbish
one?
I haven't really thought. I'm
going to say I'm going to say that this is actually a pretty good list of fairly decent returns. Some of them I wish had lasted longer, but I think that where they brought people back, they generally did it for a reason, and it was made, like say for example Sharon coming back to kick Kelly down the route of realising that Gary had killed her dad. Rick coming back as a ghost, fantastic. Jeff coming back as a nightmare, fantastic.
I'm kind of made out of all of these where it's like you didn't really need to come back, to be honest. I'm thinking Grace.
I'm thinking Nikki.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because I liked
Nikki.
Grace. I thought she was an interesting character, and it did. Yeah, there was a certain element of, well,
we're just tying up loose ends here. She's still extorting the Baileys.
At least there was a loose end to be tied up. With Nikki, I didn't like her character, and I didn't want to see her back, and I don't know why she came back, and I'm glad that she went.
Yeah, when she came back, I was like, oh no, maybe we get a few cardigan jokes out of it.
It was like a can of worms. Like Coronation Street just opened a big can of worms there, then they threw it on the ground and ran away, because Nikki came back as a sex worker who had become a TA, and then her past as a sex worker was uncovered, and then she got in trouble. And what was that for?
And then she just kind of scarpered.
It didn't feel like Coronation Street was very, very non-committal about what the hell that was about, because you can go two ways, can't you? You can say, well, she should have realised that would have happened, and she should have taken greater steps, or not tried to work with children. Or we could have said everyone needs to be less judgmental and understand that teachers and doctors and everybody all have personal lives, and it's nobody's business. And if you can perform at your job, then what you do in your spare time shouldn't be a problem. And we didn't get either of those. We just got Nikki going, oh dear, see you later.
Yeah, that's all that it lingers in my mind.
And the only good thing I remember was the spider plant in a box.
Oh yeah, when she got a job as a TA and still managed to accrue a whole box worth of junk after about a week when she left it. Yeah, that really was a rubbish return. I wasn't excited to hear that she was back. I didn't particularly enjoy her when she was there, and when she left, I was kind of happy. I think she then came back fleetingly a few months later in the back of Peter's cab. I can't even remember what that was about.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with it.
No, pretty much everyone else on that list, it was either I was really, really happy to have them back, like, Spider was the biggest one that I was thrilled with, Martha as well, Claudia and Charles. I enjoyed them for what little they were.
Even it feels like, just like shout out, like even Beckett.
Oh yeah, Beckett. That's not
and
rubbish.
Sharon.
That's brilliant.
There's loads of really great, and even Lenny.
Yeah.
It was just nice that they got the same guy back.
Yeah.
Who has a bit of a history playing the same character.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Linda, I like seeing Linda too.
Linda actually was a bit of a revelation because when she was in the show back in, 2012, 2013-ish, I didn't really think much of the character at all. I thought, I don't need her. Yeah, go on then, whisk Katie off to Portugal or whatever. I had no opinion, but I actually quite enjoyed her this time. And I felt bad that, yes, she did have all this money and everybody didn't. So is she expected to shell out for them? And why shouldn't she be able to buy Joseph trainers? And they did a good redemption-ish in my eyes for Linda. So it's Nikki, isn't it? Nikki was the
Sorry,
Rover's
Nikki.
rubbish return this
Rubbish.
year. Yeah, absolutely. And finally, and the difference between these awards and the Conversation Street Awards is on the Conversation Street Awards we build up to the big one, whether that's champion, and with this one it's the Weatherfield Wayfarer Award. It's no massive conclusion here, but this is where we take a look at some of the weirdest reasons that characters have been off our screens. Now this was more of an important award back during COVID times, didn't they? When certain characters had to take extended absences and they came up with weird reasons why they were off screen for a little while. But we haven't had much this year.
This is an external circumstances award. All of these people aren't in it because they had something else they had to do.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's look at the excuses they came up with. So when Simon Gregson broke his ankle and couldn't be in Coronation Street for a while, they just had Steve disappearing to Spain for 3 months, which is, brilliant that he's got his brother there because perfect place to get away to when you need to be away from the show. But while all that was going on, that's all in my head tied with the roof and the scaffolding storyline, which, to be honest, has got away very much unscathed from these Bobbins Awards, considering how ridiculous and seemingly useless that storyline was. But yeah, just Steve going away for Spain. Evelyn.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Yes.
I feel bad for everybody who's been on a Corrie tour in that time because it's ruining the pictures of the Rovers.
I know it is. You can't take a picture of yourself next to the Rovers without all that awful scaffolding being next to you.
That's actually really bad when you think about it.
Evelyn disappeared for a little bit, didn't she? That seemed quite abrupt to me because she'd been back in late September involved in the Let's Get Hayley's Coat Back story, which never really got anywhere. She triumphantly took on the charity shop worker, got a job there, had some funny scenes where she got fed up with her and nearly clobbed her with a cricket bat, and then decided, I'm out of here. I'm going to swan off, and she went with her old friend James again for a bit. But while all that was going on, there was the John Stape drama that you think, well, probably Evelyn should have come back for that. So that felt a little bit off. Abby disappeared massively this year. She was in it obviously as a really main player for the first 5-6 months or so, but as soon as she got custody of that Alfie, I think she just got lost under a pile of nappies or something because she just wasn't in it. There was no explanation for Abby's absence.
She just existed in the parts that we weren't looking at.
Yeah. Now with Sally Carmen Datine, I think when she and Joe got married this year, and maybe she wanted to have a bit of time off. I'm not saying she's been working Joe Datine, her husband. She's been working her socks off constantly for years. So if anyone deserves a break, Abby does. It just felt a bit odd that when they usually do like to give characters excuse for time off, they didn't for this one.
This is us being fickle because we've always said this is what they should do.
Yeah,
yes, some people noticed that Abby wasn't in it, but it wasn't like a glaring omission because there's 70 people in the cast or however many, and it just is perfectly acceptable that you don't see somebody for a few months. Yeah, and so all these elaborate excuses feel a bit pointless. Yeah. But yeah, because they make these excuses when they don't. It feels even more weird.
Eileen getting her invite to Thailand, to Jason, and Thailand. Yeah, that's how you say it. Yeah. And then Zidane just disappearing off to work in London. And like you said earlier in this episode, nobody really noticed until he made a triumphant return at Christmas, and we all went,
we were like, oh,
has he not been in it? Because he's been so sporadic these past few years that he's been back anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that any of these ones particularly are so utterly ridiculous. Like in some years they have been. That well, obviously that one's got to get it.
I'm
all of these seem
plausible.
fairly plausible reasons for somebody going off. I mean, there were silly ones. I can't remember whether this one last year, but remember when Roy went off to South America and it was like, a massive exit for Roy, and he's only gone away for about 5 weeks or so, because he lied to the police or something.
I don't know at all here. I'm really
this is
stuck.
ending this awards show on a bit of a damp squib, really.
Well
I think. Sorry about that, everybody.
I'm going to give this whole podcast a Bobbins Award.
If I was going to lean towards anything here, I'd probably go for the Steve one. And because of all these are external circumstances, I'm not going to feel guilty about saying, well, they had to cobble something together here because Simon Gregson did his leg in. But having him just disappear and then having Tracy on the phone to him saying, Steve, come back. Oh, what's all the scaffolding doing? And I feel that if we give this Weatherfield Wayfarer Award to Steve, it's kind of it's giving the scaffolding story a nod.
Okay,
and I think it deserves
get on board with that.
So none of these were terrible, contrived excuses for characters to be away from our screens, but so that the scaffolding can get an award, Steve goes to Spain for 3 months. It is.
Got to get a rap on the knuckles,
and that is it. So congratulations to all our winners this year. So we had
Aaron.
Do a new one we gave to Alan. Grey Hoodie. Aaron, not Alan. Grey Hoodie Award went to Big Dave. Mardy Mayor Award this year was Alia. Dirty Dog Ken, brilliant. Give Over, who did we even give that one to in the end? Oh, Eileen's near-death experience. Ken Do Something, we're saying, Debbie, please, let's have you do something next year. The Build Up to Nout Award, think that's the one we had with the Toyah's trial in the end. Weatherfield Waterworks, Toyah. No One Can Ever Know. What did we give that one to in the end? Do you remember?
Wasn't it just Summer?
Oh yeah, just generally Summer's Lies, that's right. Summer also won the Daft Apith Award. Toyah, the character assassination. Rover's Rubbish Return went to Nikki, and finally Weatherfield Wayfarer Award goes to Steve. And that's it, apart from, we did put a call out.
I just want to say one thing about the Steve going thing, about the scaffolding. I feel like they owe us a massive payoff for that.
There'd better be one.
Because there's no reason why the scaffolding couldn't have been taken down when Steve wasn't there. I feel like there's a storyline that they want to do with Steve as a character that involves the scaffolding, and they're going to now have to wait. If it's a stunt or something, they're going to have to wait for Simon Gregson's foot to get better.
It feels like, you're right, they had something planned for autumn time and they just couldn't do it. And now it's like, really, wow, we can't get rid of the scaffolding.
They're really excited about it.
And we're all kind of booked up for stories for the future.
And they're like, we need to have this in because we bought this scaffolding specifically for this hilarious end of this story. So what the hell is it? I really cannot wait to find out.
It's not going to be worth it.
It's not going to be worth it.
Nothing is worth having that ugly, hideous scaffolding up for all that time. We did put the call out for on our Patreon for some people to put in their nominations, and Rebecca always loves the Bobbins Awards, doesn't she? So I'll just run down very quickly who she would like to win this year. Do one new one. She's given multiple winners here. I don't think you're allowed to do this, Rebecca, but she's saying Aaron, Esther, and Mike. So another nod to Aaron there.
And it's all related to Summer.
Yeah, it is. The Grey Hoodie award goes to the two thugs that captured Kelly, and
Kieran.
also Kieran and co. So also Gary, Esther, and Mike as well. Lots of Grey Hoodies there for Rebecca. Mardy Mayor, Faye, and Summer. Dirty Dog Tim. Oh, he wasn't dirty. He just wanted to perform his husbandly duty with his wife. Nothing dirty about
Disgusting.
that. Can Do Something award goes to Abby for Rebecca, but also shout outs to Gail, Yasmin, and Billy.
I mean, but yeah, Billy is one that could do more.
He could, but I mean, he's been on the sidelines throughout the
house.
whole of this summer story, hasn't he? Character assassination, she agrees with us. Toyah, Rover's Rubbish Return, Sharon, Linda, Grace, and then Nikki, like we said. Right, Give Over award. There might be some things that we didn't think of here. So Toyah murdering Imran, Spider being an undercover cop, Emma flying to Australia in 24 hours and going with the grandson of a man that she ran over. Nikki getting hired as a TA when she was a sex worker. Build up to Nout Award. We've got Toya's trial. That's what we agreed in the end. But also Tim and Aggie's emotional affair. Ryan breaking into the bistro and getting caught. Yeah, that did seem like a bit of a build up to now, didn't it? Ryan got in trouble, but now he's living the high life at Chariot Square. We got Sarah and Adam's baby making. Good point. They were gagging for it earlier this year. Do you remember that scene which had the Sarah Lou reclining sexily on the sofa? I don't know whether it was the year before last, whether it was this year.
I think it's scarred everybody too much.
We've got making Ted's death, Frank bullying George at school, Peter's vendetta against Dr. Thorne, Steve's scaffolding, and then Nikki returning. No One Can Ever Know, she's nominated. Jenny kissing Stephen. Hope listening to John's tapes. Toya killing Imran. Tim and Aggie's secret. Daniel pushing Max down the stairs. Daft Apeth. We got Jenny, Toya, Summer, Billy, Paul, Todd and Aaron. So many daft characters there for Rebecca. And Weatherfield Wayfarer. For her, she nominates Evelyn, Eileen and Zidane. And that's it. So that's our Bobbins Awards for 2022. And I hope it's going to be really, really hard to pick some nominees for next year, Gemma. That's my hope for 2023, that this in 12 months' time I'm going to be scrabbling around for ideas. But I tell you what, I've already got my document on my Mac here, and it's already got a couple of early nominations, and we're only 3 weeks into the year. So
my biggest wish, because it will never be an episode, there will never be a year in Coronation Street where something silly doesn't happen, and that's fine. But what I wish is that we don't get the same people back again.
What do you mean?
I don't want to see Summer topping the lists.
Let's give them all a chance. Let's give them all a fair go.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I think I do that anyway.
So what are you saying? You just want...
I want Summer and I want Toya to have a really good year.
Yeah. I don't want any character to just be perennially massively bad and with no hope of redemption for them. No, she's not. But yeah, you're right. Let's have a good year for them, because I have very much enjoyed both their characters and also, in the past. I still do like Toya.
Both actresses, you guys know we love Georgia Taylor. Harriet Bibby, do not know her personally, but I think she's done a good job. She's done what they've asked of her. And we know that she can plant her forehead on the ground. Let's see her do something else. I really think she looks like a really vivacious, vibrant, fun-loving girl. I want to see that. I want to see Summer have fun. I want to see Summer stand up for herself. Do you know what? If this whole year has been priming us for a mega return of Summer as turning Summer around, that would be a redemption arc I could totally get behind, and I think everybody could.
Absolutely.
Everyone's gagging for her to rally, aren't they? Yeah. I don't think Aaron's the problem, because like I said, when Aaron's not around her, he's fine.
Okay, right.
I'd like to see him date somebody else. I think he could actually date Amy. I think they would be great together.
Oh, I don't know.
Beauty in the Brains.
I don't know. Now's not the time for this. We're done. We've been going a couple of hours now. I hope everybody who always looks forward to the Bobbins Award got their fill from our offering this evening, and I hope some of your favourites won as well, or least favourites.
But I think also, for looking at stuff like the Daft Apeth and No One Can Ever Know, it's all part of the kind of big silly. What's the word I'm thinking of? Panto that Corrie can be sometimes.
Yeah.
There are really dark moments. There are gritty things. There's murders. There's suicide. There's affairs and betrayals and backstabs. But there's also buying a tiny sofa by accident and crying because you killed your husband and stuff like that.
It needs a mixture, doesn't it?
And we really appreciate all the hard work that everybody, even if you won an award, put in for this and I just really cannot wait to see what we come to talk about. We still love
Coronation Street, don't worry. It's just nice to get some things off your chest all in one place sometimes.
I think it's all fine, isn't it?
Right. Thank you everybody for listening today. We're going to sign off now. Don't forget we've got our main episode of the podcast coming out this weekend, where we'll be chatting about all that's been going on in Weatherfield this week. But for now, we're done. So thanks again for listening. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.